If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And it's time for yet another episode of Under the Radar. This week we are taking a look at 3 albums that came out on October 6th that I didn't do a full review for. And, well, all vastly different from one another, as to be expected for most of these episodes. So why don't we go ahead and get started with probably the biggest one that some people may have thought I should have done a review for back on Sunday, but I was more interested in Exorcist and also curious about this one being an Under the Radar, and that is Carnifex with Necromanteum. So Carnifex, of course, big-time deathcore band out of Southern California, and yeah, I'm not the world's biggest deathcore fan. I mean, in fact, I don't really like deathcore. There are some exceptions, though. Carnifex has always been one of those bands that I have given a plus to, along with, say, Despised Icon and the Red Chord, because, well, Despised Icon and the Red Chord created it, so they did it the best. Whereas with Carnifex, what I like about them is they're able to incorporate traditional death metal and a lot of black metal into their deathcore sound. I was actually a pretty big fan of the album World War X when it came out 4 years ago. I think I reviewed that when it came out. I thought it was really good. Here, definitely feels like Carnifex have kind of dipped a little bit, in my opinion. You pretty much get all the standard tropes of Carnifex, you know, aggression, blast beats, grooves, some symphonic parts, as well as the black metal tremolos coming in. But if there are some issues I have with this album, it would be the production. Then again, with deathcore, you're bound to get a more polished sound. But while I like the guitar tone, the drums sound really processed, which is kind of a standard for deathcore. But pretty much it came out more on display on this album than, say, on World War X. I actually skipped over Graveside Confessions, but here there are some pretty cool songs on here, I will admit, and even some of these guitar solos when they show up are quite tasty. But it does fall into repetition. Of course, the synths can be a bit much, even though I do like them. The drums sound way too processed, and the breakdowns were just kind of copy-paste breakdown here and this part, and it did get a bit static after a bit. But overall, for what it is, this is actually okay. I will give this 7 out of 10. I think it's an alright album. There are a few really good songs on here that I might go back to, but as an album, not quite up to the standard that I liked when it came to like World War X or even Slow Death, the album prior. But for a deathcore album, it's alright. It's okay. Now we move on to another one that I was wanting to check out, and that is October Tide with The Cancer Pledge. Shocking that this is the first time ever this band has ever released anything in the month of October. So this is a band I've been needing to check out for a while, considering they got connections to so many other bands, namely Catatonia, Uncanny, Demonical, and In Mourning, like, because there have been members that have come and gone from all those bands in October Tide. Most notably, the most notable member, Jonas Rinsk, the original vocalist, who also we know from Catatonia. But yeah, this is Swedish melodic death doom. However, I would say there's not really much doom on here. Like, if there is any doom, it's mostly in the melodies. Other than that, I thought a lot of these songs had a lot of up-tempo going for it, and even blast beats and triplet chugging on at least one of the tracks, but it's definitely, I would say, more of a mellow death album, but there are some heavier moments that kind of bring out more of that traditional death metal side of melodic death metal, but there's even, like, dissonant melodies that come in here that aren't so doomy, but lots of touches to classic mellow death, like I would say most notably Dark Tranquility. and even some like more uplifting D-beat sections, and it does get really dynamic on quite a few of these songs with how it goes through like lots of peaks and valleys, like a fucking roller coaster ride at Kings Island. But what I really liked about this album was the very dynamic death growls. Like, from one moment, the vocalist sounds like Michael Ockerfeld, then he sounds like Peter Tägtgren, but most of all, and then one moment he goes into sounding like Nick Holmes from Bloodbath, which, yeah, and then again, even a lot of these songs kind of have a Paradise Lost vibe anyways. So, if you are a fan of bands like Opeth, I would say, In Mourning, Paradise Lost, and Catatonia, you will dig this, as there was even some touches of prog on here. I give this 8.5 out of 10. I thought this was a pretty damn good album, but definitely feel like I need to go back and listen to, like, Rain Without End, because that's, like, the big album I hear about this band all the time. But, yeah. And now we get to the final album, which is Apotheus with Ergo Atlas. So this is a unique one. This is a Portugal, when I say that, progressive metal band, and this is mostly, like, straight up progressive metal. Like, so many dynamic shifts, again, similar to October Tide, there's a lot of peaks and valleys when it comes to dynamic on here, where it will go from, like, a really soothing, clean section into something very hyper-aggressive. And when it gets aggressive, it gets flat-out heavy on here. And even some of these breakdowns that come in on some of these tracks kind of have a death metal vibe. And I wouldn't call this progressive death metal, even though, like, towards the end of the album, there's a song or two that will have, like, a moment of death growls, but this is largely clean singing. The production's really fucking good, with a really good mix going on. The musicianship, I think, is top-notch. Lots of soaring moments. And whenever the guitar solos come in, they feel more atmospheric, kind of like classic prog rock solos like Pink Floyd or something like that. But, yeah, this is a relatively new band showcasing growth and potential within European underground progressive metal. But as far as bands I would compare it to, if you are a fan of, say, like later Catatonia, Gojira, Dream Theater, but most especially I would say Evergrey, you'll dig this. I did. I give this 8.5 out of 10 as well. Like, this is, again, pretty damn good stuff, and hopefully Portugal starts pumping out some more prog metal bands. But of course, these are all just my opinions. What did you guys think of the albums? Of course, they'll be in the description box for you guys to check out. But let me know your thoughts, and until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.